Brad Johnson here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing Adronis through as he's going to be talking about a very interesting topic, which is the flux of human lifespan. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Adronis through and he'll elaborate a little bit more relating to this very interesting subject. So I'll go ahead and we'll begin. We are here at this time, and we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this particular broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. We will elaborate further in regards to the subject pertaining to the flux of human lifespan. Now, as many of you have been aware, in regards to those of you who may be, shall we say, biblical scholars, that through much of the ancient forms of texts that have made themselves together into your Bibles, that you have noticed that certain individuals have had increased lifespans over the time of your thousands of years. In fact, it has not been uncommon that through many of your centuries, or even in that sense millennia ago, in that sense several millennia ago, that it was very common to see individuals that lived the lifespan of 500, 600 to 700 years. In fact, within the 75,000 years that you have been together, in the earlier days as it were, it would not be uncommon for an individual to live up to 800 or even 900 years pertaining to their lifespan. So what happened? What exactly took place in regards to this fluctuation of lifespan throughout many of the generations that have come and passed? That throughout many of the different forms of cycles, the earlier states in regards to the hominid form of life, of what you would understand almost to the idea of Neanderthalic or primitive lifespan in that way, started off in much more of a longer lifespan based upon the, shall we say, less sophistication of genetics, of altercations that have actually happened to your people. So as the generations passed and as the different versions of human beings became procreated, that certain forms of genetic patterns became inundated throughout much of your own genome, that the compression rates pertaining to the advancement and configuration of your own DNA, of your own genome, particularly took place in regards to the reduction of lifespan. So what we are saying here is that throughout the thousands of years that your culture in that sense had a much more longer lifespan, that as they become more worked on in that way pertaining to genome, that their own life force becomes compressed. And this relates to the idea of the genetic heaviness in that way, or the sophistication of DNA amplifications that were happening in regards to the much more intense rides, intense waves, as it pertains to your own planetary cycle, traveling through the cosmos, traveling through the galaxy. So basically what we are saying here is that as you go deeper into the cycles of galactic transit, your DNA needs to be fired up on a much more higher level. As that particular form of DNA gets fired up into a much more higher level through these cycles and increments of alignments that have taken place throughout your ages, this will create certain forms of compression algorithms that actually cause your body to become reduced in the idea of overall lifespan. Now you will notice that throughout your period of modern ages, that it is not uncommon to find someone who may live average between 70 to 85 years. And that may in that sense be more so on the feminine or female side. That may much more of the average male lifespan can be averaged between 40, 50, 60, or even 70 years as well too. Now the whole idea here is that the top rated aspect in regards to the highest degree of lifespan that can currently take place upon your planet is that of 120 to 130 years. Now again, this is all part of the not only radioactive isotopes that are actually happening within your ionosphere, within much of your own atmospheric currents, but it also has to do again with the very strong heaviness of the DNA that is coming online for you to become sifting individuals in that way, moving from one dimension to another, being able to discover more of an advancement to yourselves through the DNA that is firing up, through the sophistication of the genome as it is currently aligned, as you represent the 39th version of the integration, of the recalibration of the genome itself. Now we understand that this may be sophisticated, that this may be complicated. We will attempt to give this a little bit more of a simplistic approach. That if you were to look at the idea of a feather, that in that sense is blown and seen that feather carry off into the wind. This would be one representation of the lifespan, freely moving about in a much more longer capacity. Now if you were able to take that particular feather and wet it down with water until it becomes much more fully saturated, it will plump quicker to the ground. So this is giving you in that sense a particular type of example here as it relates to your own genetics. That through the reintegrations and through the energies of your own DNA recalibration, this has created a compression, or what we would refer to as a genetic truncation pertaining to your own life force. It does not always have to do with the idea of pollutant effects in that way, even though that can, yes, shorten lifespan. But the overall lifespan in regards to that, even if your earth was truly pure and free of any particular types of toxins or pollutants, would average between 120 and 130 years. Now, it will not always be like this, simply because this is the cycle that you are going through that we would refer to as the cycle of breach. Once you move past the cycle of breach and you start to move more into what you would know as a smoother transit, the idea of your own genome will actually start to refine itself through the idea of, in that sense, calibrative assistance as you move further into galactic transit and through other induced means of, shall we say, custodians, caretakers that are helping to arrange your DNA in a way that is appropriate so that you can go over this lump that represents the idea of genetic calibration necessary for you to move into galactic transit of this way. But throughout your generations ahead, yes, there will be much more of a natural increase pertaining to your lifespan. Now again, many of you may say, well, wouldn't it be great if we could live 200 years or 300 years or 400 years and 500 years? Technologically, that is possible. There are particular forms of rejuvenation-based technologies that actually use to enhance DNA to, in that sense, create more of a decompression effect in regards to your own vital body. However, again, as you know, that is not publicly accessible. However, you can discover that there can be, in that sense, prolonged life that can take place through what you would know as the increase of torsion energy, or what you would know in that sense as pyramid power, or what you would know as standing stones power, or what you would know again as certain forms of ancient structures that have been appropriately aligned through sophisticated forms of geometry that are in a state of perfection, in a state of an apex, that can actually allow these particular forms of rejuvenation to allow more fuller lives in that particular way. But this is just giving you an idea that through what you're going through right now, and through what you have gone through in the ages, the compression rates over time throughout these different forms of cycles, through these different types of dances, as it were, is actually what is responsible for the reduction of the overall human lifespan. And as we're saying, this is not going to stay this way, but in that sense is going to be around for quite some time still. Again, through the idea of your centuries ahead, that there will be more opportunity for the genetics to, in that sense, lessen the load, as it were, to actually become much more applicable and adaptable in regards to the environment, so that you are moving further synchronistically into a galactic transit where there is less turbulence. And this is going to allow your DNA in that sense to fire up a lot more, and in that sense even increase the idea of genetic lifespan. Now again, understand that your population here, in regards to the number of people that are on your planet, is indeed a rarity. In regards to the idea of the mass of your own planet, in comparison to similar masses of planets that are out there, your particular form of planet holds a great deal of what you would know as an overage. It would be very common for other Earth-like planets or other planets that are similar in mass to actually only sustain of what you would know as 500 million to 2 billion people on average. So by having your particular population explosion as it has happened, in that sense is of no threat to the planet, of course, but it is still in that sense very, very, very uncommon to discover a population explosion like the one that you have on planet Earth. This is also another reason of why lifespan is also reduced in that particular way, deducted altogether. Simply because, again, that if there were many people in that sense living hundreds of or even thousands of years throughout the idea of the population explosion together in this way, there would be such an overage upon your planet that the overage itself would start to go more into the red. And so the whole idea, again, is that part of this transit and part of the induced states of genetic configuration that represents your current state of genome compression is necessary in order to also maintain a healthy populace that the Earth can handle. And so again, that is another particular reason. Now, as we've stated in the past, that once your population reaches approximately around the time of 9 billion people, that there will be new innovations and there will be new events and new situations taking place upon your planet that will orderly transform the plane that you are a part of to accommodate this form, because that is very much closely moving into the red. This may also lead into the idea of, shall we say, additional forms of technology, of platforms that may be, shall we say, more atmospheric or more orbitable, that will actually in that sense be inhabitable. You may also discover that there may also be other particular forms of technologies that will actually take place in habitats within your own oceans or even above your own oceans. And so there will be certain forms of accommodations that will become much more apparent once you reach somewhere around the range of approximately 9 to 9.5 billion people on your planet, which again, it will not be too long before that takes place. So again, accommodations will be made to allow this particular form of, shall we say, inhabitation of a large amount of third density humans to be part of this particular plane together. Again, moving into third and fourth density matrix. So we wanted to share with you the idea of the fluctuation of lifespan, and again, why it has happened, why it has taken place upon your planet, that the lifespan in that sense is very much 25 to 15 to 10% as much as it has been in your previous cycles. This is primarily the reason. Galactic transit, population maintenance. Also, thirdly, again, certain forms of sophistications of DNA that allow you to become much more, shall we say, multi-dimensionally prone. That is also another reason. We thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all of you. Thank you very much. Farewell for this timing, and we now return to the conduit. We will speak to you again, as now is forever, and all is one. Goodbye. All right. Well, that was a that was a challenging channel because there was so much sophisticated information, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges of being a channel that's very open and conscious, is trying to bring in about all this sophisticated lingo and trying to bring it into language. So constantly being tested with all this channeling information, but from what I could observe, fascinating stuff. So thank you everybody for tuning into this video. Hope you also found it as equally fascinating. Again, you can go to realitywhisperer.com, look at some more free videos, more free stuff, free meditations, as well as private sessions, courses, and a lot more. And for any questions relating to this video or any other material that has been produced on this channel, feel free to contact me through realitywhisperer.com as well. Thank you so much, take care, namaste, and may it be well with you. Goodbye.